Hello, it's the Coaster Craze, and in my latest video, I'll be doing my second park predictions for Six Flags Great Adventure, my favorite theme park I've ever been to. So let's get started right away with my first category, any B&M coaster, and I think the chances are unlikely. And this is because they're the park with the most B&M coasters. They have 5. The Great Superman Ultimate Flight Flying Coaster, Nitro, a great hyper coaster. They have Batman the Ride, a great invert, Green Lantern, not very good stand-up, and then Bizarro, great floorless. So the only thing they really don't have yet is a wing coaster, and Six Flags hasn't bought a single B&M since X-Flight in 2012, so I don't see that happening anytime soon because they just don't want to spend that much money. Another type of possible ride is any water ride for the main park, and I think that's very unlikely. So Six Flags Great Adventure, they don't have a water park that's incorporated into their main park, but instead a separate gated water park, and so they'd only have like a log flume and a river rapids in their main park, so they could get a shoot the chutes, but I just see that like not happening at all. And then they could always like get like an additional water park to add to their main park like Six Flags Over Georgia did, but I just don't see this happening at all either because like Six Flags Over Georgia's separate gated water park was down the road, while this one's like literally right next to it, so I don't see any type of water attraction coming to Six Flags Great Adventure in the next 5 years. A great option would be a Giga Coaster to complete the Hyper Giga trifecta that only Cedar Point has. But I just don't see this happening at all because Six Flags would never invest this much in a one roller coaster. So sadly, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon at Great Adventure. Family Coaster is another unlikely possibility for Great Adventure's next 5 years, and here's why. First off, this is one of the most major Six Flags parks. If they're going to get a new coaster, it's probably going to be something big. I mean, when was the last time Six Flags installed a family coaster at one of their parks? And second, they already have like a Mine Train, 2 kiddie coasters, Dark Knight, and Skull Mountain. So they have a ton of family coasters. They really don't need anything else. They do have a gap in there, like they don't have a spinning coaster, which would be a nice fit for the park, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. For a family ride or a family ride package, I think it's possible because Six Flags Great Adventure hasn't gotten family rides in a while. And like they could totally get like some flying scooters, which they still don't have. They're great. Like LeBron's getting a family ride package this year. And like although it's not super likely because this is a very large park, they still need family rides, and I think it definitely could happen in the next 5 years. Another possible option is a kids area retheme or expansion. So this has been happening recently in the chain with Over Texas and Over Georgia, and Great Adventure already has 2 kids areas, and so I think it's not the most likely, but it definitely could happen because they haven't gotten anything in their kiddie areas in a very long time. But I just don't see this as the most likely, but definitely could happen in the next 5 years. I think some new thrill ride concept that becomes the next craze for Six Flags is possible to come to Great Adventure in the next 5 years. Like the Super Loop featured here, that just sprung up at Six Flags and they started installing a bunch of them. And I think that Great Adventure definitely could. Like, we just don't know what's going to happen next. Like, for example, this year they're getting Cyborg Cyberspin, which is a new type of thrill ride. So maybe there'll be some other new type that they'll get too. A compact looper, preferably with a beyond vertical drop, would be a possible addition for Great Adventure in the next 5 years. Something like a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, even an S&S like El Loco, or their new launch one like Gale Force, or like something like Fahrenheit, which is an amazing Intamin multi-inversion coaster. Like these would be pretty great fits at Great Adventure. Even though Great Adventure has a lot of inversions, they don't have a beyond vertical drop yet, and I think it would be pretty cool to see something like this come to the park. And judging by hang time, which might be really popular with the public, Great Adventure might invest in something like this, but overall, it's not the most likely option for sure. Another possibility is a GCI or RMC ground-up Woody. GCIs have been very popular recently in the Cedar Fair chain, and though Six Flags hasn't gotten one in some years, they're relatively cheap, and I could definitely see that be a good fit at Great Adventure since they only have one wooden coaster now. And RMC Woodies, Six Flags still loves working with RMC. They haven't built a RMC Woody since Goliath in 2014, but I could definitely see them build something like that at Great Adventure, but the chances are only possible, I'd say. An RMC Raptor or T-Rex I think is a likely option for Great Adventure in the next 5 years. So first off, Raptors, like this year is the first year they're making them. Six Flags getting one, Cedar Fair is getting one. They look like they're going to be a big success. So I think they'll continue to clone these, maybe for some of the smaller parks. and it could come to Great Adventure, but I'm thinking that maybe they'll start making a T-Rex like for Great Adventure, because Great Adventure is such a large park and that's like higher capacity. So you could definitely see like the first T-Rex or one of the first T-Rexes come to Great Adventure in the next 5 years. And then also Six Flags seems really bent on like having all of their parks have RMCs, or at least all their major parks do. And Great Adventure is probably like their last major park that doesn't have one yet. And they're not going to get a hybrid because El Toro is amazing. So they could get that ground up Woody that I talked about, but I think a single rail coaster, whether it be the Raptor or a T-Rex, is the more likely option. My final option is a thrill ride or thrill ride package, which I think is very likely. So something like what Six Flags Over Texas got a couple years ago. Six Flags Great Adventure still doesn't have one of those modern enterprises. They look pretty cool. Or a giant Discovery, which looks super popular. New England's getting one this year, and look, it's right next to Joker. Six Flags Great Adventure has a Joker. They could get a new giant Discovery too. So I think that would be probably a really good fit for the park. Probably not next year, but maybe a couple years later, after like to give Cyborg some time between thrill rides. So I think it's really likely for them to get a giant Discovery or maybe another thrill ride that Six Flags has been putting through their circuit recently in the next 5 years. Overall, I can't really predict anything that's almost definite for this park because it's really tough to say. Great Adventure is just such a good park. They have so many great rides already, but we'll just have to see what the future holds. So thank you for watching my predictions for Six Flags Great Adventure's next 5 years. I hope you enjoyed my video. Comment down below what you think will come to Great Adventure soon, and see you guys later from the Coaster Craze. Bye.